Thinking about all the national heroes? Wondering what makes them heroes? Pause. Think about it with intentional thought and consider where we go from here. Not all heroes wear medals or stand in history books. Some walk quietly among us, steady in purpose, anchored in faith, and relentless in their craft. To some to think about, Toby Lunn is one of those heroes, a painter, a teacher, a Bahamian visionary. His story reminds us that excellence isn't born from applause, but from perseverance, discipline, and spirit. Tonight, we talk about what makes a hero, why Toby is one, and the heroes who shaped him. So settle in, think deep, and let's journey together into the hero within.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles.
Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. And we're here this evening going to have a wonderful time with one of my old-time friends, buddies, pals, neighbors, everything you want to call it, brothers. We can call it all of those things. Whatever you want to put a name to that is positive, constructive, and purposeful, that's what Toby is to me. So welcome, Toby. How you doing?
Happy, man. Thanks for having me. This is a real honor to do this. I really appreciate it. I'm good. Awesome. How are things with you?
Great, man. Great. Well, today, as we said, we met Toby Lunn. So he is a man who has turned struggles into strength and expressions into excellence. Toby is a painter, educator, curator, has faced and disarmed every obstacle on his creative path. His art tells us the story of Bahamian identity, of faith, and of human conditions. Through decades of dedication, Toby continues to remind us that art isn't just what we see, it's what we feel, what we learn, and what we become. So Toby, all of that nice, perfect, real, truthful words, how does that make you feel?
Well, I appreciate that intro. I think when you first approached me and I saw that title about hero, I was a bit hesitant, but I now understand where you're coming from about overcoming personal obstacles and like persevering through I guess just the trials of life, which don't really, other people may not see it as such, but you're going through your own sort of personal development. And I think it's important. I think it's important to share it. I think it's just important to sort of almost give a timeline to things, and you can start to see a development. So it's good, man. Where do you want to begin?
So I like to tell people from the beginning, because what you might not know out there is I knew Toby from when Toby was just T. I was in the whole OBY. So, I'm going to keep him a little honest on some of the things that he says, and some things I'm sure he won't say, and I don't blame him for not saying it. But you got to watch Toby, because sometimes he just tell you everything, and then, he got you thinking big and deep. But
that is true. It might be too much.
What makes him Toby, and what makes him so successful, because, he shoots from the heart, not from some scripted thing somewhere that, we got a lot of people in the world who just fake. That's the best way I could put it. Not authentic, but that's not the Toby I know.
Yeah, no, I can't. I have to be myself, man.
Right. So
you okay?
we have something to think about, say that the true hero path isn't about victories over others. It's about mastering one's capacity to disarm the distractions that hinder the materialization of purpose. So, as we go through this, Toby, we can start there.
Okay.
And what we want to know then
is the camera still? You still got me?
Yeah, man.
Okay, great.
Don't worry about that. You straight. I'll let you know when you off camera or something like that.
All right. So yeah. So I mean, I think I'm going to start. You'll see. It's like making a. You'll see the patchwork. It'll come together, right? So my parents were doctors, right? And that sounds when people hear that, oh, you straight, you big, but I became an artist,
Mm-hmm.
Like my start was first of all, as a young kid, I had a brain tumor, and that was a struggle in itself as a young kid, relearning how to walk, how to talk again. You know what I mean? It's a real that's a definite slow start, right?
All of those things,
but
yeah. I say all of those things, yeah. Because
yeah, absolutely. So, and I think I mentioned the fact that number one, I'm lucky that my father was a doctor and that he took me to the right specialist to get that surgery. So, eternally grateful for that. However, as I started to sort of develop, I was more inclined to the arts, music, dance, painting, and these sort of like abstract, they're not abstract, but they're not the linear path for for sort of the model of what they grew up in, sort of the doctor, lawyer, banker type, even educator. I wanted to be an artist. I just wanted to be an artist, and that was sort of like that in itself was considered quite strange, which it isn't at all. But we're going way back now. Okay, we're going from the beginning, and it took quite a bit of a struggle just to be able to pursue art, and I that's just a matter. It was almost like when you're a young kid, I'm talking young, you're talking like 10, 11 years old, 12, you just, I don't know, I at that time I thought I was just different, right? But I realized it's not. You just have to grow into yourself. It just takes a little bit of time before you could grow up and stand up and say, no, this is what I'm doing, and so I got to COB, college after high school, went to QC.
Yeah, but before you go there, Toby, that alone is a journey to overcome, a mountain by itself. When your parents want you to be something else, your father's a doctor, etc. And I think some of your brothers might have followed suit in some of these areas of elite disciplines or stuff. But you wanted to be something different. You wanted to be you, and that takes courage to do.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't want to sit here and badmouth my family because they're great people, and I'll get to the point of the support. I really think they're great people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes you just have almost a different way of seeing things. And I think what we learn is it's like multiple things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that there's only one way to look at something or one way to express yourself. And I know this sounds very cliche, but to anyone watching this, I think it's just for people who, when you're a young person starting out, where they feel as if, man, I have such opposition, But in reality, if you just stick with it, and you'll gravitate towards the people that help you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that your cousin, John Cox, we were friends from we were real small. And we definitely used to bounce off each other ideas and creativity from long time.
Right.
And that even to this day, and we can catch up in time, but as kids, we really challenged each other and really sort of developed our interests, despite whoever was doing what. And I think that was an important important time period. So we
So we can walk you through all these different stages, right? And so we have questions for all of those, so you don't have to try and rush through them or think about
right.
them all right now. Like this, we follow the trend of the questions. So from the quote here, right, we're talking about true heroes and so forth and defining it, what have you. What does this mean to you personally? What do you gather from this quote here?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. We were just talking earlier about, and I used the metaphor of these like UFC fighters, right? Where
Right.
artists and creatives being, I guess, in a sense that I'm sure you heard this before. Like sometimes you have to be your own hero because you know this sounds a bit self-absorbed, but it's like you have to like in order for you to help or to produce anything to assist other people, you got to be strong within yourself, right? So you almost got to in a way rescue yourself. But I want to mention something that we were talking about earlier is that I have deep faith in God. So I don't think that we do this on our own. I think that that's something that I wish I had tapped into earlier in life, but you
But
know,
nothing
it
before it's
happens when it
time.
happens. Yeah,
Right.
it happens when it happens. So the hero is almost like your own. I wouldn't use that word on a day-to-day basis, but I
So
definitely like the idea of cultivating this sort of like faith within that you almost on your own rescue mission, and you find out it isn't just yourself because it's everyone around you, everyone
right.
who you connect to. You know, someone can even maybe get inspired by that and say, "Man, I'm on a similar path, and I could do it too." You know what I mean?
Right. So
Yeah.
you said you didn't see yourself as being a hero until we have started to have some conversations.
Yeah, not.
So
Yeah, I'm not.
how did you define a hero before, so that maybe other people are seeing hero the same way you were seeing hero?
Yeah, I think in a sense you're right. That's a good question. Perhaps it's about like sort of people who are like extremely accomplished. Maybe really successful. Um, Actually, no. You know what? I don't really know if I have. Hero is a word I don't really use often.
Right.
I don't really. There are people I admire. There are people that like someone who's good at their craft.
Right.
I think we were back in the day. I mean, you know, during the Michael Jordan era. Obviously that you have those like huge
Right.
heroes. Yeah, and so I guess like those kind of figures. But I really, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I haven't.
I mean,
I'm
that's
not.
fine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very fine, right? So there's a traditional. I guess there's many definitions of hero, but traditionally it all boils around something to do with bravery, right? Or
Mm,
selflessness acts that is helping other people to conquer something,
mm.
right? And that's what I see you doing, right? And a lot of things that you do today, you always put other people first. Um, there's a lot centered around you, but there's also that focus on other people. So
Well, happy you're kind.
don't worry about that, Toby. This you on the show, right?
Yeah.
Don't try to.
But I'll tell you, so I want to mention this is important. We're talking real talk. When I was younger, that insecurity of trying to find you, but I used to drink a lot of alcohol
Yeah,
back
that's
in the day.
obstacle. The insecurity and the
Right,
alcohol is
right,
obstacles.
right. So then I had a lot of crazy times, right? But I'm grateful. We jumping now to even I'm talking car crashes and all that nonsense to be
Man,
able to
right,
like have the faith to dig deeper to say, man, you got to do better than this, and find the people. Your aunt and uncles, Stella and Georgie, were great in helping me to say, hey, man, you can just move on from that, and it really helped me. And we jumping ahead, and we can jump back and forth. It makes sense, right? Again,
man,
Jackson Burnside and Pam Burnside also were great mentors in that respect. And so I just put down the liquor. And of
yeah,
course, it's not when I say that, it's not something that you just that's it. You're conquered. No, it's a daily thing. You know, you just say, all right, what I got choices. You got choices to make each day, and you choose to do this. Now that being said, what I tentative about. See, this is recorded, so if I say something, they're like, "Boy, Toby said that. Well, he going back on his word."
Yeah,
So I'll tell you right
don't
now,
worry about nothing. You're
exactly
talking to me.
right.
We ain't no
I'm
talking.
being
Yeah.
present, and you do the best you can for that day.
Right.
You know, and the thing is, I think in terms of being a hero, if someone saw me down the street the other day and they see me drunk up, I would hope they would try to help me as opposed to kicking me down. You see the difference? You see what I'm saying? So it's like you find people's character oftentimes during adversity.
Right.
And I will say this: I through God's grace, some great people have come through, and we connect and reconnect and learn and grow. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, don't worry about that. So
Yeah.
the question on the table now is in terms of your art and living art, right? You're a student, a teacher, a creator. What first pulled you towards painting as your language of expression?
Boy, okay, that's a very good question too, because high school art was just sort of not. It was like secondary. I got to COB, and
You meet one gal?
what's that?
You meet one gal like who was painting?
No, at COB.
Yeah, I'm saying if you meet one gal who was painting, I'd
No,
COB
no,
would force you to
no.
paint.
I wish. No. I was doing so poorly in school. And I got into an art class with Stan Burnside, and again,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
a game changer. That's when you meet somebody who just
Right.
inspires you. Mr. Burnside, he knows me from before too,
Right.
and something just clicked, like almost like it felt like almost like a spiritual thing, man. It was like a real awakening of something that I was interested in that it just didn't feel like a waste of time. Oftentimes I'd go to class and be like, what is this? What am I do? When I got into art
Right.
class, it just seemed like it made sense. It's something I
It
wanted to
resonated with
pursue,
you. Yeah.
and I had to fight for that, but I don't want to, I don't want my family watching this to be like, oh, no, it just took a while to get it going, and then once I got into it, then they realized, okay, this guy, he's doing art, you know.
Right.
I never really looked back,
Well,
I just
that's good because you found your pieces. Where you
yeah,
really
I mean,
belong.
I wouldn't, I think, I don't know if because it's not that simple. I know you say you found your niche and then everything is cool. No, to me, painting is a battle. It's still it's a creative battle. So it isn't always something that is like it's so fun. And when people say, if you what is it you find something you never work a day in your that thing. I don't understand that, because even if you are,
No,
you
what
say
I mean is
you're
if you love it so good, then you will work it without pay.
yeah, I know, but okay, let me get an example. Let's say you're a boxer. You got days in the gym.
Right.
It's a daily grind. It's not just so easy and it's not work. You see what I'm trying to say? You
No,
gotta
well, let me say this to you, Toby. My understanding in a good book is that anything that God deems worthy is simple, but not necessarily easy.
That's right.
Right. And so, yeah, to the boxer, it might be simple to throw combinations and left hooks and jabs and what have you. But it ain't easy to do that.
No,
So
you
you have a
gotta
lot of
hone.
training to do and what have you, which is fine. So everybody goes through that.
That's right. You gotta hone. You
Whatever
gotta
their niche
train.
is. Right. But
Yeah,
we all have individual purposes and you have yours.
absolutely, man. And I think definitely I don't want to call them wrong turns, but I've definitely got into some avenues of in the art world where I'm like, wow, that was um, something I shouldn't have put too much focus on. Like how do I explain that one? Okay, like
So for that time in life, it mightn't have been the right thing. But it was a part of your growing experience.
yeah. Let's leave it at that. That one
Right.
I'm gonna keep that a little mystery, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think what happens too in the art world is that oftentimes younger artists want to be defined as such. Like I'm a this, I'm a that,
Right.
and perhaps you could be multifaceted. Perhaps it's not so simple. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think particularly now with social media and the things changing, some of the techniques I learned. I mean, we going back now, 30 years now, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say obsolete, but it's a challenge to
But it works for you. That doesn't mean you have to wait for the next generation.
thank you for filling that in for me. Yeah, I struggle with words. Yeah, so you just have to, you know what it is? Like Kendall Hanna is a good example. He is a senior artist who he actually just passed away last year. He was a very good friend of mine, a very,
Mm-hmm.
very good friend of mine. And he was true to himself, man. And I always use this quote. I say, you know, Kendall Hanna being true to himself allowed me to be true to myself, you know,
Right.
because not everyone has sort of like a very cookie cutter kind of style, or
Right.
sometimes at least for me, I go up and down and around, you know, so sometimes it seemingly doesn't really make sense. But like we were talking earlier, painting doesn't always have to have a linear explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes paint the art just is, you know. And if you have 100 people looking at a painting, you can have 100 different points of view. You know, it's kind of seemingly daunting, but also quite exciting. You know,
Right. So if everybody was doing a cookie cutter thing, why would I buy somebody else's art versus one person? Right? So that's why God make us all individuals,
exactly.
unique in our own purpose and our styles.
That's a
So
good way to put it. Yeah. You know,
so
it's like
like I say, every artist faces seasons of silence or struggle, right? And you mentioned a couple of them already. Body,
absolutely,
mind,
man.
and spirit. Did what did perseverance look like for you through those seasons? What kept you going? And
That's a good question. I definitely have had moments where I'm like, all right, I need to do some reinventing. You know, and I've actually the people who really know me, I've gone to a place where I almost quit.
mm-hmm.
Said, man, I can't do this no more. It's too difficult to break through. I need something that's not so personal. You know, you
Right.
push yourself out there, and so. But I think so for me, going back to faith, it's almost like I sort of like dig down and say, you know what? Not everyone has to understand this, and if somebody is really critical or it's not their thing, just know that it's fine.
mm-hmm.
It's okay. It actually has nothing to do with you. It's just they're not into that. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like I really, I know you're a sports guy because I really like mixed martial arts, right? I like to
Mm-hmm.
watch it. I mean, and I know people when I mention, they're like, man, I can't watch that. That's not for me. Like, okay,
Right.
cool,
And it's okay that is same for you. It's not for
exactly.
somebody else.
So I mean, it's just like that. I think that I'm learning. This is something I mentioned before that Stan Burnside used to say that as you mature, what did he used to say? And this is his quote now. I'm not. He used to say you're
Yeah.
able to listen to the whispers, and I like that because it's almost like this. During the small hours, usually late in
Right.
the evening, you you know you're able to listen a little better. Fine tune your, I guess, your inner self,
On your own.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot of wickedness out there too. You just have to put the blinders on, and to
Yep.
walk
Mm-hmm.
fast, you know.
Yeah. So you built a path grounded in discipline and purpose. What habits or practices keep you aligned with when distractions and doubt creep in?
See, I mean, if we're gonna get real on the show, like there have been times that when I wasn't so disciplined, when I was just like trying to like not wing it,
Mm-hmm.
but try to be that emotional artist that just sort of paints whatever. And I found that to be quite tiring because you almost, without the structure, it's almost like you might get some one-offs, but then you kind of lose the narrative. Okay. So I found that by creating more of a discipline around it. And when I say discipline, I don't let's be careful with that word, for me, because I did not like the regimented school system where like you must, hours of this, hours of that. So my definition of discipline isn't linear where you in the studio X amount of time, the same time a day. My discipline is like staying committed to the practice and seeing it through however that manifests. You know what I mean? Meaning that it might take a long period of time or it may take a short period of time, but seeing it through and allowing the nuances to happen. I find that I need that freedom of expression in order to really hit the mark.
Right. Okay.
You know, it's like, I mean, if I could use a sports example, like I guess it's like, because I watch a lot of martial arts, like it's almost like a guy has a skill set and he moves based on the opponent, right? So the opponent comes, he moves, if he moved this way without the strike coming, it's kind of pointless, right? So he moves based on that. And oftentimes, I feel a bit silly now making this reference, but sometimes in painting, when you make marks on a canvas, the first marks are like that jab. You have to respond to that, and almost like you might have to backtrack, maybe remove some of the paint, add more. It's like that intuitive. It's almost like an intuitive dance. It isn't for me. It isn't so formulaic. Although in time, it looks like it's formulaic because it's your own self-expression, but it's a development, almost like a parrying back and forth with
So you don't paint like me, where I just throw paint on the canvas and then I move my hand like this and do like that, and then something happen, right?
Not exactly like that, but sometimes, because you see, and I'm gonna sound like I know something, but it's like something that looks arbitrary isn't,
you really
because
if you short, you are highly respected in this community.
Man, I appreciate that, man. I'm really trying not to. Yeah, that's the way I speak is a reaction of being, and yeah, I don't want to go into family stuff. You just gotta. Thank you, I appreciate that. But it's like, yeah. So you say a throwing of paint looks arbitrary, but when you do it a lot, you get to understand how to manipulate it and guide it where you want it to go, because that may be the first step of 100 other steps.
Right.
So it looks, if someone walked into the studio and saw only the first move, they're like, well, I remember, God bless John Beadle as well. John Beadle is another amazing artist. I mean, an incredible person who also, was a great influence on me. He passed away recently as well.
Right.
But he also used to, I can't say it on camera, but he was very meticulous in his development and wouldn't want people to see what he was doing until it was done, because he didn't want nonsense and noise, and that I learned a lot from him too in that respect, basically running people out of the studio when they it's not time.
Yeah, but everybody is different, right?
Yeah.
So you started in the classroom and you've gone from the canvas. Where do you feel most in the flow? Where does the spirit truly meet the creator for you?
Where? Like what space or what?
Yeah, space or what environment, what
inspiration,
what's happening in the world at the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that that has also changed a lot. You know, when I was younger, I was sort of like um, wishing for this ideal space to create artwork, and it just never really happened for me. I was always in a small room somewhere or in my parents' the garage, you know. But now I have a pretty decent space. It's a pretty decent studio space.
Yeah,
Acquired not that long ago. Hmm?
I don't necessarily mean the studio itself, but I mean you.
Oh, the
So
headspace. Why? Listen.
not everybody could paint all the time. Some people got to be in a certain mindset, as makeup or spiritual,
Yeah, I mean,
mental state, and whatever it was.
right. Well, I think okay. So that also, like, if I could also reference another friend of mine who's a great painter, John Paul, JP.
Okay.
He paints landscapes. Incredible painter. He's a really masterful impressionist painter, right? And he's very methodical in his palette and his delivery is a particular skill set.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little more, and this is not a put down, but I'm slightly all over the place in the sense that I think for me, because I have such different like methodologies, that is not one's mental space. Now, when I hear myself talk back, it's like, dude, you setting yourself up to sound a little bit crazy, but I'm okay with that because painting,
But that's your process,
yeah,
painting. So look at the paintings behind you.
yeah,
They ain't no shabby stuff.
no, and then
They ain't easy to do. So
no, and this one in particular, yeah, yeah. So it's like, but Happy, I'm also okay with this quote as well. Like, just because something like looks simple
right.
doesn't mean it's less sophisticated than something else that might appear complicated with layering and back and you know
Okay.
what I mean? Like, or for example, just because something is not realistic, like a landscape or right, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that it's less developed or it has less meaning. In fact, uh, yeah, I just actually sold a painting today. Delivered a large painting, abstract painting that and the client just loved it. They loved the combination of the colors and the rhythm and the patterns and the energy behind it, sort of the feeling that it evokes. I think
Mm-hmm.
even if you I'm reaching here, but let's say you watch a movie, right? And the movie is about uh, like a jazz player, a jazz musician. And it follows a guy's life through his life, and it goes ups and downs, his trials, his shows, his victories, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
watch the movie. At the end of the movie, you're like, wow, I like how that movie made me feel. I like that. It isn't so much you have to pick apart. Did the guy was he
Right.
the best actor in the world? Was he wearing? You know what I mean? You kind of just
Right.
overall,
You want to.
what impression did you get from that? And I think
Right.
painting can be seen that way. Like
Right.
I've seen people come into and look at a painting and they're very moved by it, and others not so much. And both
Right.
points of view are valid. Both points of view are equally valid. You know.
Yeah.
Again, don't know
So
if I answered the question.
no, don't worry about that. That ain't for you to
Yeah.
worry about. The
Yeah.
audience
Exactly.
will tell you. They'll tell you that. They see things that you don't see. And that's the beauty of life. So excellence, right? That's what you achieve. I know you sell yourself short, but you do achieve excellence. And just looking at some of the paintings behind you, people could get that. So when we look at that, then, so from your perspective, how do you define excellence and when measured against your own potential rather than others?
That's a good point of view. So when you first mentioned excellence, I was who's measuring. But then you're right. If you look at it on you are your own best case study, right?
Right.
So it's based on your level of development. I think that's a better mark
Mm-hmm.
because if you do something and then someone else is judging you, then you're finished, because all you have to say is, I'm not into that, and then, right? But you know within yourself that there's something valid about what you just produced. So you just have to, like, I guess excellence would be based on your own level. However, I'm okay with not being excellent. Now let me
Don't worry
clarify.
about whether people you think you
Right.
measured up to excellent or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
I think I prefer to
what
just.
would you feel that would make you feel like you're being excellent? What is
That's a tough question, you know.
what
I
is
don't.
the
Excellent is a difficult
parameters?
word, man.
What do you think when you achieving your potential? What do you think would be happening then? What is your vision as to what that is?
Well, you know, I think I've done bodies of work that I really feel represent what I want to say at the time. And I'll tell you a short story. And when I worked for Jackson Burnside, so Stan Burnside started me out at COB, and then probably 15, no, maybe 20 years later, I started working for Jackson Burnside at Dungalik, which was equally as inspiring and mentoring. You know, I was very lucky. I give thanks for that every day. So at Dungalik with Jackson, I'll tell you where I'm going with this. He definitely helped me to develop the sense of having a sense of self, because if he'd say, if you don't care about the art you're making, who else is going to? You know, I can't cuss on the show, right? Because he didn't use those words, but it was like, if you don't give a, then who will, right? So, and I remember coming over the bridge, because the gallery was off Paradise Island, coming over the bridge in traffic, and I was watching. I'm sitting in traffic, and I was watching people go to the beach. So I was like, you know what? When I get off work, why don't I go to the beach instead of sitting in traffic? And I started really paying attention to the ocean and watching, as cliche as it sounds, the ebb and flow, the water. It's just magic. And I really started doing these, like, really not whimsical, but very careful paintings inspired by the water. You know, I do like you notice how let's say you're looking at shallow water. It has, let's say you're like where the rocks, you can actually see the sort of the rocks through the water, so it's more clear and aqua. Whereas if you go out into the deep ocean, it's deeper hues, of maybe even purples, and there's all those nuances that I find so interesting in painting. And you'll see if you look at some of my paintings, you'll see some real depth of color, depth of field, and then in others they're quite shallow and almost like based on like the ebb and flow right on the tide.
Right. So, you know, it's interesting you say that, because water is very powerful, right, in the spiritual world in particular. Right?
Yeah.
So you describe, or you've been described as a quiet hero. A couple of people have said that to me, right? So one who leads by example, in your space, in yourself. Sometimes people say in your own head, whatever, but
I wouldn't call myself a hero, man, but I know where you're going with that.
Don't. That ain't the question, Toby. So, heroism looks like to you on a personal level. If you look on somebody else, we just celebrated National Heroes Day. How would you look at somebody as a hero? You call Jackson a hero, or you call somebody else a hero? I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's so, yeah. So that's a good, yeah, okay. Yeah, I would definitely call Jackson Burnside a hero. I think that, but because I know him and also his brother, Mr. Stan Burnside, as well.
So why would you call him a hero?
Because I know them on a personal level, and based on their accomplishments,
right,
and their delivery, and also how they treat people. You know what I mean? And how many people they inspired, and just the level of their work. I think their level of execution and the bodies of work that they both have produced.
The landscape?
Yeah. And there's a quote from Jackson too, which when we were working for him. So he used to say, the Burnsides and that crew, Max Taylor and Brent Malone, those guys, they cut a path. There was bush. There was no path in the bush then. Those fellas cut a path. So when we came on the scene, there was a path. You know what I mean? And there was definitely a track that we could say, wow, you could watch others before you make it as an artist, And in that group, you have Max Taylor, Antonius Roberts, Ricardo Knowles. Those fellas are like, there was a path. Now, I think, though, I don't want to get into this. That's a Jackson Burnside quote. I don't want to get into a cliche of like.
No.
Because when I say it back,
I can help you out a little bit, right? I can bring on somebody who could help you, or some persons who could help you shape that and why you have the hero within you.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I hope my battery doesn't cut out. Anyway, go ahead.
The battery ain't cut out. The good Lord can keep your battery. Right? So you know that fella there?
Hey, yeah.
Hello.
Hey. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And yourself?
Good. You know that one.
Oh, wow.
No,
Toby Lunn.
Yeah. He's natural.
What's up?
John Everett and help Toby answer this question because he's struggling. He's too modest and he likes to push everything away from him. Help the audience understand why he is a hero with him.
That's not.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
You don't. But Happy, I don't think.
Yeah.
Wait, let me just say something. Happy.
You got voice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. I'm saying that the topic of conquering your own obstacles, I like that one. But as far as I don't think even like Jackson Burnside, he wouldn't have called himself a hero in his. He would just live and do. I don't think that's.
We know that, Toby, but I'm calling you a hero, and I'm asking them to tell the audience why they think you might have the hero qualities within you.
Yeah. Let me jump in. Toby, it's my honor to be on the show with you, right? My cousin Happy, my brother Happy, If I had a brother, it was going to be Happy. Happy is my brother, the only one. So I'm very happy to be here. So, and you too. I mean, I think you and I became acquainted with one another, not even of our own doing. I think our parents kind of put us together when we were probably 18 months old and said, hey, you can be friends with this guy. I don't think people know that, our paths are have the beginning that they do. You remember our exhibition together? I think we could only been 18 or 19 years old, which is how old my son is now. And we were at the Damon Art Gallery on the corner there, right by what is now the Point. And I often, it's not even what I say to you or what I say to other people. It's what I actually believe and what I know is that you are a central part of this art community, Toby Lunn. You are central senior, as Bahamians like to say, you are a senior man in this community, and you contribute to the way people think about their work and about the way they make their work, and the thoughtfulness that you bring to your practice is something that should not be lost on people. I think that you are a central part of it, and I think your very character is one that would never accept these titles being bestowed upon you, and I think that that's fair. I think it's fair for you to want to avoid these things because that's just the nature of your inability to be still in the moment. You are always moving, like your paintings. Your mind is never still, nor are your paintings still. And I want to applaud you and respect you and show you love for all these people who are listening to the show at this moment. You and I have conversations, about all different things, metaphorical conversations about painting and art and everything else in life. And yeah, man, I think I'm hoping that a lot of people chime into this and listen now, but also go back to it and listen to the things that you're saying. I've been listening from the beginning of the show. So I love you, Toby Lunn, and that'll never change. Satilla Cox and George Victor, I also love you even more. And I
Forever,
love
man. Forever.
You're good. You're good.
Blessings, man. Forever, John.
Yeah. And I have my beautiful cousin, my beautiful nephew, Dom, who's like a beautiful human being. I also appreciate you too. So yeah, man.
Much love, man. Much love. Wow.
So Dom, you are a much younger artist than all those. You've worked directly with Ken Latana, with Toby mentioned, and not the stands. And well, stand, yes, but actually stand think the word of you. Or he thought the word of you. Rest and soul, just all of them. But what is your perspective for Toby?
Well, thanks for having me. I believe at the end of the day, it's just a feeling. In terms of being a hero, it's a feeling that you impart on someone else, and you help inspire to give younger people a sense of self-worth. And so it's just transferring love to other people is how you are a hero, because you can meet many people and they might want the same things as you do, or they might know this things as other people you may know, but it's in the delivery and the respect you give others that I believe makes it
And
worthwhile.
To him multiple
fold.
Yeah.
Dom, thank you very much, man. I remember that show we did at Pop-Up.
Yes, because John at Pop-Up when I was 17 put together this show with me, you, and Kendall. And that was my first show. And so that started my whole life with art. And
that's great,
you
man.
both created space to listen and to younger people, but also for us to share what we felt and what we valued. And I think a lot of elders don't always do that, so it's a very special time.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I'm not always so good with words, but man, I appreciate that. That was a good, solid collection, and collective. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thanks a lot, guys. That's really, I think I'm going to get better. At like not dismissing things that are important, like that, like just like sharing and connecting. I think it's important to acknowledge and to keep it going. I think, yeah, I just appreciate that, man, and just keep just keep on. You see, my word's gone now, but they got to come back. They can come back.
No, we can bring it right back to you.
Yeah.
I always say that no man, not success without mentors and cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Who are people who guided you, believed in you, and fueled your courage when you were needed? Excuse me, needed it the most.
Well, the thing is that John is right here, so that's kind of awkward. But John has really inspired me. We've really sort of been, isn't it in the Bible? Iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
That's a real thing. And even sometimes that iron spark could be a little painful sometimes, right? But it's a necessary forging, because almost like you're challenged to say, man, listen, what are we doing here? As well as, wow, look at what that guy's doing. Let's keep it going. But again, this is a real personal thing, but John's parents were like fundamental in terms of helping us believe in ourselves. And also I mentioned earlier, happy that just faith, because that's something that can waver at times, and particularly when times are difficult, the faith can waver, but you really got to dig deep, and the people who inspire you to keep digging deep, And so, for sure, Stella and Georgie, they're, the legends, and obviously the Burnsides. Actually, you know what? I want to say I got to give a wide umbrella to the artistic community here. Dom, is one of them. JP, my friend Alan Wallace. There's too many. There's too many. almost like contemporaries who we just watching, and I think that's like just adding fuel, and yeah, and I have to admit though, sometimes I do wave, I step back, take the foot off the gas completely, and go like, oh, and then you need sometimes this a breath. But I'm realizing that I think I'm putting too much pressure on the idea that one has to be heroic all the time. It's not possible.
Right.
There's
That's why
sometimes
you have mentors and cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They keep you balanced.
But yeah, and there are also people who are not in our community, just friends and people who are just decent people. I when I say decent, that's a word, but they're just compassionate.
I know what you mean.
And I respond to that a lot in people, more so than even sometimes greatness, but too many,
So looking forward, what message or legacy do you hope your art or your life will leave with the next generation? What do you want Dom and the rest of them to think?
Boy, well, it's interesting because I had some surgeries recently that have definitely hit me. And this is another Jackson Burnside quote, because he said, once you become aware of your mortality, you look at relationships differently and time you spend, So to leave a legacy, I don't know if I could. That's a bit too much, man. I think I just want to continue creating and connecting, and however that's absorbed and maybe you know what I mean. I don't really know that. I don't have an answer for that one about leaving.
No, so Dom, how do you see his legacy? So
Well, it's mostly in terms of like memory, it's your energy. You always have a bright, enthusiastic energy, even if you are focusing on what's unknown, or if some things are not resolved, you always have this optimism in the way that you communicate. And so I think that aura is gonna be lasting in people's memory.
Right, Dom, and I appreciate that, but I will say this though, even just being, a human being, we all have that dark moments, right? And I think it's just being able to like maybe transfer it or develop it, change it. You know what I mean? So that the dark moments become something useful. But they certainly don't feel that way when you're in them. That's for sure. But that's
So John, this one for you. How would you anticipate others will draw nuggets from his legacy?
I think with Toby, what it is that Toby's work is fueled. At the center of Toby's work is humanity. I think that Toby is somebody who holds very near and dear to his heart, like purity and honesty, which is almost like a concept that's almost impossible to perpetually be kind of connected to, because life naturally ebbs and flows, and he talks a lot about these moments of struggle and moments of triumph and moments of, overcoming, and things often kind of go back to these moments in Toby's life where things were difficult or it was hard to kind of reckon with his own kind of personal identity. And I think one of the beautiful things about Toby is that he doesn't accept his own kind of genius lightly. He doesn't. He is in a constant state of internal dialogue with his own kind of brilliance, which I think is a wonderful thing. And Toby and I know a lot. We talk a lot about lots of different things. And I think he will know about this. I have this image. It's of a particular type of Buddha called a Fudo Myoho, and that particular image is one of compassion, but the Buddha's face is actually quite raging. and that fudo myoho actually transforms like anger and kind of discomfort into salvation. And I feel like that's really what I see in the work with Toby. And I think that a lot of people probably could reflect their own life's episodes consistent with what Toby has been through, because Toby has been through a lot, and there's a lot of really kind of like truly challenging and disappointing things that Toby has to reckon with on a regular basis. And I feel for Toby in ways that I think other people don't understand. And I think that, if people really kind of understood, took time to just slow down, John Beadle would always say, you have to be still with the work. You have to be still. You have to be still with the work. And I think that's one of those things that people, if they become still, they will see the beauty in Toby. They'll see the beauty in the work. And I think that they will kind of allow themselves to be transformed, and actually, I guess, find a level of salvation, find a way of saving themselves, but also saving other people too. In that, that's the beautiful part about Toby's work.
Right, John, you're good. You're good.
So, but Toby, that is true, right? And that's why I say I see you as a hero, because man, all those obstacles from birth straight to still today, you have fighting the repercussions of a surgery that may not have gone as good as it was supposed to go, but you still have that spirit, that drive to move forward, like John said, to be a humanitarian,
I appreciate that.
others and stuff like that. And so
I really appreciate that,
not
man.
too many people have that, and so that to me, that's real heroism. Where some of these people who we highlight,
Listen,
I love in business and government for 50,000 years, and so they're a hero or whatever. I mean,
not into that.
yeah.
But I love you guys, man. It's been listen. If my battery dies, we got 4 minutes left, so don't think I just
duck in. Lord, and keep your battery live as long as we're here, right? So,
but
wrap up in a second.
no, it's been a Happy. I really appreciate this, because these kind of things also motivation to stay on it as well. When you to say, man, I think great things are happening, and
all right. So
just
Toby, this one for you, right? If you had to leave one guiding principle for Bahamians on disarming the obstacles to their excellence, what would it be?
Guiding principle. That's a tough one. I think cultivating a sense of self-worth, so you want to participate in a meaningful way, and that would mean a lot of different things to different people. Some it might be through sports, some through painting, or both, or through dance, or through some other medium, even through maybe writing or whatever. It doesn't matter. Once it's you've cultivated this sense of self to want to connect in that way, and so it's like a moving machine. The machine can't move without all the moving parts to allow it to have a function, So I guess it's basically finding your own self, connecting to the people that inspire you, and trying not to be deflated by the ones who don't inspire. If that makes sense.
And that is one of the main reasons why I have the show, is because it's built off of so many young people saying, oh, there's nothing for me to do here. And everybody wants me to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant.
No, man. Listen, I don't want to badmouth the doctors and lawyers and accountants, because they have a very important role in society as well. But
that don't mean everybody could be it, right?
Right. It's totally the artists and musicians and yeah. So,
right.
Yeah.
And so
that's
the
all.
idea is to find and to show people like yourselves, who are doing something different.
Yeah.
From it, or talking about different things. So we appreciate you, and appreciate all of you all. And
really, indeed. Happy, I appreciate this, man, with all my heart, eh? Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Don't give me all your heart, just piece of it.
True, right. Cool. John Cox.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man.
And Dom, thanks. You what, 6 hours, 7 hours ahead of us now?
Yes, 6 hours.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on. We'll be in touch off camera.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool, man.
Great.
Abby,
All right.
time's
Yeah,
up, man. I gotta go.
Yeah, man. You're welcome. Peace, love, and harmony.
Yes, man. Thank you, eh?
Thank you, Happy. Thank you, Toby.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Be well.
Thanks.
So I've been watching something to think about with Dale Happy Knows. And like we said just now, we had Toby Lunn on the show. The hero within that, I think. One of those unsung heroes that people don't really pay attention to. Or the like, because they don't get all the accolades and this. But the driving spirit within him and all the things that he overcomes in order to try and help people. I think John Everett said it well. Humanitarian. Those things are great. So hopefully you guys some nuggets from this show. I apologize for my voice and the occasional coughing. But this air condition is killing me. My throat. So the next time, next week, when we figure out a new thing, actually, I guess you really don't want to miss that show. That could be supernaturally. So peace out. One love.
Enjoyed the show? Then subscribe to us for more educational and inspirational content. Ring the bell so you never miss a show. Let's change the narrative, 242.